Oh, is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
I'm Casey Pulchi, wife to Louis Pulchi.
Alright. So, Louis, what would you say drew you towards working in this career and field?
Well, I grew up never wanting to be a cop or anything in law enforcement at all. And when I got out of college, I have a bachelor's degree in biology, and like all college students, they get out and they can't find a job. So I went back home, jobless, in a small town in Fredonia, New York. And I was looking for jobs and whatnot, and actually my mom stumbled upon a job at the county jail, and I never would have, because she was trying to help me out too, she wanted me to have something.
Yeah.
And so I applied. My dad is a judge for the village of Fredonia where I grew up, and he knew the sheriff and all that stuff, so I was like, why not, we'll try it. So I went and interviewed, and I got the job. I was there for a year, and I hated it. I was good at it, but I hated it.
Yeah.
The jail was created in like 1910 or something. Like, it was super old, bars, like cell blocks. It was really bad. Poor conditions. The pay was bad. I was forced overtime like every other day for like the last 2 months that I was there. So like it was super draining. But then I was like, I need a change, so I'm gonna move. I didn't know where, so I looked up like on Google, like at work, I would like Google like cool places to live, and so I moved to Austin, Texas, and I was looking for jobs that have to do with like biology and whatnot, and I was still having a tough time finding stuff because a lot of places like they want you to have like additional experience, like either job experience in that field or a master's, something like that, and I didn't have that. I didn't want to go back to school. So before I actually moved here, I knew that I could do a corrections job, so I applied with the Travis County Sheriff's Office. And while I was in my search, I was doing the whole hiring process for there, because it takes months for them to do all your reference checks and backgrounds and whatnot. So I got hired there, and I liked it. The people were good. My supervisors were awesome. It was a lot different from what I worked in New York. So I was there for 2 years, and then I got hired by the Travis County Park Police in January. And right now I'm training, because we're commissioned under the sheriff, so I'm doing training with them for the next probably 1 month, and then I'm done. But yeah, really it was nothing that I wanted to do. It was just needed a job, and there's always going to be openings in corrections. There's always going to be a need for it. The jail systems are not getting smaller, so that, and not everyone wants to work there for their whole life, so there's a lot of turnover rate as well.
Yeah. Was there any type of active education system within the facilities, or either of the facilities that you worked at?
The one in New York had a youth GED program, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was mandatory. For the juveniles. I'm pretty sure they had to go. Whether or not they passed the test or not, that was on them, but I'm pretty sure they had to go. But here, I didn't work with juveniles, so I wouldn't know. But they did have a lot of they had classes I can't remember exactly what they were called, but it was how to be a better parent for your children. There were dog programs for them to to gain responsibilities, I guess you would consider it that way. What else was there? There was AA meetings, Narcotics Anonymous meetings, Cocaine Anonymous meetings. There was what's it called for writing? It's creative writing. Creative writing courses. I wasn't too familiar with it because I worked evening shift, and a lot of these classes happen during the day, but I know that there was some sort of GED program
Okay.
because I remember some of the guys would like come up and be like, hey, look, I've almost got my GED. I just have to take like a few more of these classes, but like I didn't know much about it because
Yeah.
I didn't work with the program coordinators and stuff.
Yeah. But there was.
Mm-hmm.
As you are both people you work within that field, and then you're married to someone who works within that field. So you kind of have that, behind the scenes personal connection with it. What do you think is the cause of such high recidivism rates in the United States?
That means people going back after
like
they've been before.
Reincarcerated, yeah.
So we talked about this before, and we talked about it again last night. And as someone very opposite of the man that I'm married to, and someone that could not do this job, honestly, I tend to see things differently from a different perspective, and I know that I'm not always right. I know that he's not always right. I know that there's a middle ground, and there's definitely different people that go to jail and go to prison. Being someone that has been to jail twice myself, but we have talked about this because, for example, last Christmas, on Christmas Day, we went downtown with some friends and we served the homeless for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
This dude was not very stoked about doing that and literally saw people he recognized that had been in prison before. And he was just like, this is not cool. I don't know why we give, things to people that can help themselves. And I'm always on the other side trying to be understanding. You don't know what that person's going through. You don't know their addiction. You don't know their mental illness. You don't know how we're not helping them. Like, I feel like we can offer help, I guess, in darker places at times that we're just not doing it right.
Yeah.
There's things that we're not doing right. But what he sees day in and day out is just people with zero respect for him, for the people that are there, the people that are trying to help. But we did have a conversation of, I asked him some of the hard questions like, well, when you were in the jails, Louis, did you care? Did you try to help anybody? Did you try and have a conversation, kind of see where they're coming from? And the response I get, honestly, is, yeah, a couple of times I have tried, and then they just go back to whatever they said they weren't going to do again, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
So my response is, okay, so if you saw your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, somebody you love and respect and care about, fall on their face several times over and over again, are you just done? Like, you're only going to help them twice and you're done? So it's hard because that's his job, that's what he gets paid to do, but I've had those discussions of what can we do better as in the system, where is it broken kind of thing. Some of these classes, he kind of even responded and said, well, I mean, most of them, they're just a joke. Like, these people are just going to these things to get out of their cells, just to walk around and socialize and blah, blah. They're not taking things seriously. But the thing is, like, how do you make them take it seriously? What can we do to have them not come back in? But I don't know if there's any right or wrong answer, but being married to it, it was hard. I will say, seeing him pull doubles, he's exhausted. He's worn out, spread thin, not respected. It sucked. Like, it sucked bad. Am I happy that he's out of the jails now because it's such a negative breeding ground? Yes. His personality has changed 100%. He's a different husband. He's a different person. He's just not as anxious. When I first met him, he was taking medication for anxiety. He's not taking those pills anymore. He's not on medication. Being in the jails, you are locked up just like they are.
Yeah.
You're behind, like, you are stuck in this place, no sunlight, no daylight. So yeah, it's gonna make a huge difference. His job will be very, very different as a parks police. So
that's good. And besides, since the angle I'm kind of going towards is like looking into not only GED but also with higher education within the cells, very few places do offer, like college degrees and stuff. But besides education, like both of you guys, what do you think, as people who like know the behind the scenes, like what would help to reduce such a high rate?
Well, I think that the biggest reason for recidivism rates being so high is that there's nothing once they walk out those doors
Yeah.
to the real world. It's like they can do whatever they want. They can be as active and proactive, whatever, to get education, learn how to do something. I know a lot of prison systems, they will teach you HVAC, air conditioning. But like, if you get out and you just go hang out with your homies again and start smoking a pipe again, you're just gonna end up right back there.
So no
you really,
accountability.
you need like a support
plan.
system.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
What about the halfway houses though? Do people ever leave prison and go live like?
Yeah, I don't really know much about halfway houses. I just know that there needs to be more than just what you do inside.
Yeah.
There has to be like a connection between the inside and the outside in
Yeah,
order
for sure.
to get you on your feet, because otherwise you fall flat on your face every
We
time.
talked about that last night too. The difference between what is it called? Where you try to get sober, you go to where you go away for 3 months. Yeah. So a rehab center is so different than going to prison, because that's not a choice. Like you were sent to prison, and you have a choice to go to rehab, get help, and leave if you want, leave whenever you want.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, it's the mentality, and it is that connection of inside that place and outside that place. When you leave, are you going to get help? We know it wasn't a choice to be here, but what are you doing with yourself while you're here?
Yeah.
And I think it can start there, but I think a lot of the people that work there don't care enough. I mean, why do they need to invest in these people? Especially if they've been burned trying to help somebody and they see them come right back.
Yeah.
So, but there needs to be a bridge, because a lot of them do fall again and go back and
And in the way of education, how do you think do you think that like starting with larger education systems, I can't talk today, do you think that would kind of start to help if that was to be more widespread, if they could obviously you need a little more work probably to try and get your associates or get your bachelor's than you would, or get certain college credits than you would towards your GED. Do you think it would kind of bring that number down at all if they had the opportunity to?
I think that the prisons or jails, I mean, jails is a little more difficult because for the most part it's pre-trial, where they're at most, if they do get sentenced to jail time, it's going to be 2 years, which is very uncommon. But prisons, I think that they should work on placements, because like if they do start, I mean, I don't know much about like their college courses and if they offer that kind of stuff, but even like GED, like if you, or like a vocational thing, like if you learn a trade or something and your date of leaving the prison systems is coming up, I think they should help place you in a job.
Exactly.
Or maybe even prior to you getting out, send you out on like some business interview, like send you out on some interviews. Send you to interviews, because that's what they did in Del Valley at the correctional complex. There is an outbuilding that is strictly for sex offenders, and they are still technically they're still in the prison system, but they have to come back and stay in the secure facility
after their jobs.
After
they
their
get to
jobs.
go out and work jobs, and they come back.
But they get to go interview. They interview. They have all the time in the world to go and find a job. Most of them work at Subway, Luby's, like fast food restaurants and stuff. But still, they're doing something. They're making money. They're not paying for housing, because that's half the reason they're there, is they have nowhere to go. Because if you're a registered sex offender, you can't go anywhere. You have to either live in a house with a family member, but you can't live by yourself. At least these pre-release prison inmates. But yeah, they get jobs, they get money, they don't have rent to pay, and I mean, for the most part, they're happy that they're not in prison. And I mean, if they just got let out and sent back with their friends and their people, who knows? They could do something else and go right back, because they don't care.
Well, it's hard too, because you don't run into a lot of people that are welcoming to accepting that, to hire that, to live with that. I mean, if you think about how we live in Austin these days, if you're a single person coming to Austin, you're hitting up roomsters.com, you're hitting up places to find roommates, Craigslist, and a lot of these people are doing background checks.
Oh, yeah.
And if that pops up, sorry, it's a no.
Yeah.
So it's very discouraging when you can't find anyone that'll want to live with you
Yeah.
or that'll want to hire you. So it's hard.
Yeah, we might have got off track a little. Could you ask a question again so
Oh,
she
sorry.
can answer it?
Oh wait, let me see. Where were we? Or what do you think, this is my final one, what do you think would most benefit, prison and jail systems, or like where are they lacking the most? I feel like you guys have kind of touched on
Touched on
that,
it.
but what would in the short term, but do the biggest impact, I guess?
If you ask a prisoner of 6 years, which is Jared, who lived with us, which is, you can say, a family member. So he served time in prison, and his response to that is, I asked him some of these questions last night, and he responded by saying, prison is just a business, a money-making business. They don't use the money wisely. They don't put it into things they say they're gonna do. So his response would be different maybe than ours, but he just sees it as like a money scheme.
Yeah.
Is his response. You may be able to answer differently.
Well, saying that it's a money-making thing is only because it's obviously funded by the state, and they try and find the cheapest way to do everything.
Yeah.
Meals, housing, clothing, everything. Everything is done as cheap as possible. That's why it's easy to say it's a money-making thing, because then you make your inmates go out in the fields and make the food. They raise the cows or they do the crops and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to decreasing the rate of reincarceration, I would say support systems for sure. I just don't know what they could do. I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
Really.
How they can make it better.
How they can make it better. I really don't know. I mean, a lot of these people that get sentenced to prison, their families don't care about them anymore.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, it's not the first time. And it's not like you can force family to accept someone.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I guess it's just the reality of it it's
Yeah. I would say the easiest thing would be to not guarantee them a job, but give them an opportunity to get one.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a job, you're just like, oh man, I'd rather just sell dope. It's so much easier. I get to chill at home all day, and people come to my house, and I just make money. That's it. Versus making an honest living, which is a lot more difficult in their eyes, especially when they're hanging out with people that have been drug dealers their whole lives, and they're just like, oh well, it's so easy. You can come work for me, and for my people, you can make $1,000 a day, no problem.
So it really is that post-incarceration support system, just because it's so easy to fall
Easy.
back into that.
It happens all the time.
That's all you know.
I mean, I was only in the Travis County correction complex for 2 years, and I've seen people come in 3 and 4 times.
Wow.
And the correctional complex is usually when you're staying there for a while. The jail is downtown,
Yeah.
and that's up to a week. You'll be down there for the most part. But the correctional complex, you're out there for a month or more. And like I said, I've seen the same people 3 and 4 times. It's like, what are you doing? Oh, I just started rolling with my homies again. Why?
It's the same thing again.
Yeah, it's the same thing over and over, and then you just stop feeling bad for them. There's nothing you can do, and you just see it all the time. Where you're just like, I don't care.